Today on the show, we are joined by the one and only Shelley Wade to talk about detoxes, and you and I discuss the question I've been asked by a lot of people with regard to intermittent fasting.
Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled, and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many.
You know, Mondays have always kind of sucked. Mondays suck things I can't name by name on the radio and remain employed. Suffice to say that they are dangly and unpleasant. But you know what? There's something that today is turning my Monday-related frown upside down, and that is the fact that I am joined by the one and only Shelley Wade. What's going on?
Hey, D. How was your weekend? Must not have been that exciting. You can't think of it right away.
No, it was good. It was actually really good. Like, a cousin of mine came into town. It was one of those, like, super last-minute things where they're like, hey, got a convention in town, want to grab dinner? I was like, okay. You know what's nice? Notice, but fine. We'll go have dinner. And
That's like me. Like, I'm going to New York next week, and I have not told any of my friends. Yeah. And I know they're going to be like, okay, when were you going to tell us?
Yeah, but here's the thing. She has no other people here in this town.
Got it.
You go to New York, you've got like
I'm trying to figure out like which friends. I'm trying to coordinate in my head which friends I'm going to hang out with on which day, and I don't want to tell anybody until I figure it out.
It's the most frustrating thing because you know you're never going to get to everyone, and there's going to be someone who's like, what the hell,
people
man?
Are always mad at you that you didn't tell them or that you didn't get to hang out with them. It's really rough. I feel like that when I go to New York. That's my second home because I was there for so many years. And when I go to Houston, you know, it's just impossible to hang out with everybody. Yeah. You know, when you go, it's heartbreaking, really. But at the same time, it's just, you know, it's not doable.
I think social media makes it a little bit easier because what I see people doing now, and I don't do this when I go back to a town that I used to live in, but I see other people doing it and go, maybe one day I'll go to that well where you go, hey, I'm coming back into town. I can't possibly hope to connect with everybody individually, but I will be out at this bar or this restaurant having drinks and snacks with friends. Like, you kind of organize a social thing, and it's just like, hey, man, I put it on Facebook. I send you an invite.
Everybody doesn't see everything on Facebook. You know,
but you can
I've had a couple of my old listeners in Houston. They're like, Shelley, one day when you get back to Houston, you should just go to Papados and just sit there. The Papados on Richmond, and just sit there and let us come by and give you a hug. I was like,
I don't know. Sitting at Papados on Richmond getting hugs sounds pretty good to me, especially if you get to eat Papados all the time. Oh, my sweet God.
One thing you can be guaranteed, I'm going to be at the Papados on Richmond when I go to Houston, so I may as well just open it up to everyone. Hey, I'm here if you want to come by and give me a hug.
When you go back, and this is primarily for the people listening on 950 AM KPRC, when you go back to Houston, is it all about, is Papados over Papacitos?
Yeah, you know, but listen, I love Papacitos as well, you know, because I'm a Tex-Mex girl. I don't want to say over. It's just that I feel like I have to be in a certain mood to go to Papacitos. And so I'll go there once, and then I'll go to Papados like maybe 2 or 3 times while I'm there. I don't have a preference. I just have to have a certain mood.
What do you get at Papados?
Papados, you know what? True story. I can't really eat that much. I know when people look at me, they probably think I eat a lot, but I don't. You know, I had weight loss surgery a few years ago, and I had the sleeve surgery, which makes your stomach really small. So I really can't eat that much.
Did you do that thing where, like, did it make you, if you eat too much, do you just throw up? Like,
so that's why I don't eat too much, because I don't want to throw up.
That's good motivation.
But, you know, listen, my reason in saying that is that I would typically want to go and get the whole seafood platter, but I don't. I'll just get a couple of little things. Maybe, you know, and it's hard for me to go there and not get the cup of gumbo. If I get that, I can't really eat that much more. But I like to get a la carte, like 1 stuffed shrimp, 1 stuffed crab, and no sides. That's it. And, you know, and I know it's crazy going to Papados because it's so, the plates are so plentiful. Although they've gotten smaller now, but more expensive. The plates are more expensive and smaller, but it's still a lot, you know.
See, hear that, Papados? Shelley Wade's on to you. She's watching your prices and your portions.
Well, I didn't realize that until my best friend pointed it out. I'm like, oh my God, you're so right. You know, but she goes all the time, so she knows better than I do. But, so I'll get, to answer your question, a stuffed shrimp, a stuffed crab, and I'll, you know, open the, you know, the whole thing up with the gumbo. And I don't get full on seafood gumbo because I don't want like some of that stuff in there.
Sometimes seafood gumbo tastes a little like you got a mouthful of ocean water.
All I want is the shrimp and the andouille sausage gumbo. It's so freaking amazing. Let me stop talking about it because I'm on a detox right now.
That's
but
right.
Anyway,
Yeah. That's what prompted this whole conversation. Oh, you know what I like?
No, what prompted the conversation was your cousin. See, we have so many sidebars.
Sure.
I wanted to ask you where your cousin was visiting from.
I was going to say New York, but they don't live in New York anymore. They live in Atlanta. They live up in the ATL or down in the ATL.
Okay, cool. And you guys enjoyed each other's company.
It was good.
Okay,
it
sounds
was really
good.
And we talked smack about our parents, and we discovered that our respective parents had like all these skeletons in their closets that we didn't know. It was good times.
Okay.
I can't wait to grill mom and dad about some of the stuff that I found out about them.
Yeah. So interesting.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, but so that's how we got on all that. I don't know how we got on the different sidebars, but I guess visiting, how you can't ever, hang out with everyone, and so that's how we got
everyone happy.
But I am on a detox right now.
Yeah,
which is
so all right. I actually. It was funny because I walked into your studio and I saw the empty Tupperware. And I was like, "What you eating?" And you're like, "Detox."
Yeah.
So what's a detox? Clearly not seafood gumbo.
No. I just feel, I have a friend who actually does a cleanse at the beginning of each season. And I'm like, that's hardcore right there.
Is this one of those things where it's like maple syrup with lemon juice and cayenne pepper?
I can't remember.
You don't eat
She's
for
one
10
of my
days.
friends who she's in Brooklyn, and she told me about this years ago when I still lived in New York. I can't recall what she does each season for the cleanse, but I feel like, I don't want to say it's extreme, but it's a little too much for me, because I'm a foodie. I like to eat, but every now and then, you just feel like, when your gut doesn't feel as good as it, it could feel.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I want to do a quick little detox, although it's 10 days, which isn't so quick for me. Yeah. But I think it'll do me well. It'll do my skin some good, and it'll do, I think I'll just feel really good. And I end the detox the day before I go to New York. So it'll be like right on time. I'll go to New York, the side effect of...
Go to New York, get retoxed.
I know, right? The side effect of being on a detox is that you look super fabulous. So I'm going to look super fabulous going, because my skin's going to be glowing. And I just feel like I'm going to look super fabulous after the detox, provided I stick to it. I'm hoping I'm only on day 2. So far, so good. But, someone was already inviting me to go to like this party tomorrow. I was like, I can't. They were like, oh, you have something else? I was like, detox. Because I know if I go to the party, my willpower's terrible.
Oh, really?
If I go to the party, I'm going to have a few cocktails and some food.
So it's like it's not just a nutritional detox, no alcohol either.
No.
Oh man, hold on. I want to find out more about your detox, and then I'm going to tell you about the time I didn't eat for 14 days.
Ooh,
really, just kind of to see
brutal.
what would happen. It was not fun.
Real radio. 104.1.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
Seriously? You didn't eat for 14 days?
I think it was 14 days. Maybe it was 12. It was, yeah.
You didn't eat one morsel?
No.
That sounds a little extreme.
It does. But, well, all right. I'll tell you how that went in just a little bit and what prompted me to do that.
Okay.
And the end result. Because after you tell me what your detox diet involves. So it was like chicken and kale. Is that what you eating?
Well, I am drinking bone broth in the morning.
Uh-huh.
Well, I am only eating like within a 7-hour window,
What's bone broth taste like? Is it beefy?
It's like, I have both chicken and bone broth, that I bought from the store. Typically, you want to make your own bone broth because it's healthier, but I don't really eat a lot that has bones. I did have some drumettes from a fast food place recently.
I don't think that counts.
But yeah, I'm like, I think that would defeat the purpose.
Some fast food drumettes is not
bones,
really
yeah.
what.
So I don't have if I buy chicken or if I buy, I don't really have a lot of bone. I I live by myself. I don't just have like this surplus of bones lying around.
Yeah.
You know,
It'd be a little unusual if we did.
But, you know, I hear that you can go to the butcher and ask for bones.
Right.
And, you know, and then like, you know, get their bones and you boil them. And so basically, you know, it's just broth of, you know, boiling bones. And you're supposed to get just like a lot of great health benefits from it, regardless of whether you're on a detox or not. And so I'm doing either chicken or beef bone broth. And you can get that from, it's like you go to the grocery store and it's on the shelf. You'll see like just any kind of broth. It's that. It's just broth.
Right.
And so I'm drinking broth, like
so
maybe a cup.
Drinking soup stock.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. And I'll try to cut up some scallions or something to make it seem a little more exciting.
You can put some like peppers or something, or like.
I mean, that's ideally what you would do if you were boiling your own, you
Right.
know, creating your own broth. But this is already, you know, brothed for me. It's all brothed up in the box for me. And I'll just pour it in the pot and, you know, boil it because I want to drink it warm. And I'll just put some scallions in it just to make it seem like I'm doing something exciting. So I'll drink that. And again, this is only my second day, so it's not like this is routine to me.
Right.
So far,
I
started my day off with drinking.
Can you have caffeine, or do you drink coffee or tea?
I don't drink coffee. I love hot tea though. I don't drink it often though.
Can you have caffeine on your detox?
It doesn't matter to me. I don't really drink it that much. You know, I mean, other than soda sometimes.
I was going to say, like, I guess you can't have soda, but like maybe a diet soda. Can you have like
I don't even like. And for me, what's the purpose of diet soda? I mean, for me, if I'm going to have a soda, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to have a soda.
I can't drink.
I don't want a diet soda.
I can't drink non-diet soda. Oh, I can. But here's the thing: whenever I drink soda, it's because I'm thirsty, and soda with sugar in it just leaves me thirstier than when I drank it before, and also makes my teeth feel furry. It's the weirdest thing. Like I have this, like, I feel like there's this kind of like clingy, furry film on my teeth after I drink like a normal Coke as opposed to a.
And by the way,
soda.
I don't drink a ton of sodas. You know, I'm not like I really just don't. But sometimes I do want a soda. Like you bought me one last week when I was really craving a soda.
Well, you look so irritated because the machine ate your $1.
Yeah, I went to get me a soda and then the machine stole my money and then I was irritated and you were kind enough to buy me one to set me up on my soda fix. But I don't drink a ton of sodas, you know, like I'll drink soda with like my rum, you know, and things like that. Yeah. But I'm not like, ooh, gotta have soda today. I'm not that kind of person. So I'm not like, gotta have caffeine every day. I'm not that person. You know, I know most people are like, ooh, I can't operate until I have my coffee. I don't drink coffee. Every now and then, I mean, like if I feel like I'm about to pass out and I'm sleepy and I'm at work, maybe I'll go get some coffee. I never like how it tastes though. When I go to Starbucks, I'll get like hot chocolate. That's really what I do.
Our coworker Clint down the hall has his own brand of coffee. It's called Motorcycle Monkey Coffee.
Really?
And he's got this one, like he's got 4 or 5 different versions. Some's flavored, some's a little bold, some's a little bit more mild, but he's got a version of it called Motorcycle Monkey Knuckle Dragger, which is high caffeine.
Wow.
And I've gotten to the point where I panic if I run out of that stuff.
Wow.
Like I'll drink about a half a pot a day, or a pot to a pot and a half. Okay, while we're being truthful here, let's just admit it. I'll drink about a pot of that stuff a day, and it's the greatest. But after like a cup and a half of it, I feel like Al Pacino and Scarface. So I'm just like,
what does that mean?
Yeah, it just means I'm shaking. I'm just like, oh, say hello to my little friend. I'm ready to take this day in the cojones. Like it really, really sets me off. But now I'm totally dependent on it. Like Clint has gotten me absolutely hooked. I know for a fact I'm his best customer. I sort of like
interesting. Yeah, I don't drink coffee. You know, what I do drink if I feel like I really want a burst of energy is Red Bull. And I know that's not the healthiest thing for you, but
I don't understand what Red Bull like. So there's all these other energy drinks that do the same thing that Red Bull does. Not just to cut you off, but like Red Bull tastes like Red Bull. And there's lots of other things that are infinitely more tasty, but I feel like Red Bull got there. They still have that same orange death flavor that they had back in like 1992 when it was first introduced to the world.
For sure.
And everyone drinks it, and nobody likes it, but it's what they like to drink. If that makes sense.
I actually kind of crave it sometimes.
See, you crave it, but do you go, "This is delicious" while you're drinking it?
Well,
no.
They have these flavored ones that are amazing.
Oh, those are, yeah.
The flavored ones that are amazing. There's one that's like a pineapple, and there's one that's, I mean, it's not like my favorite drink in the world, but it's way better than the regular Red Bull.
Right.
But so whenever it's not the healthiest thing, so I don't do Red Bulls all the time. Just like, when I'll do them, when I have to take a drive to and from LA. And sometimes I get sleepy while I'm driving. And so to prevent that, I'll have a Red Bull or two on my drive, and that prevents me from getting sleepy. And there was one good stretch when I was constantly, I was going for at least about 3 years, constantly going to LA to make like TV appearances and stuff. And I was just like constantly driving to and from LA, and it got a little monotonous, and so I would get sleepy, and that Red Bulls really helped me. And I'm not even endorsing them. They don't give me money, but they helped me. It's not the healthiest thing, so I don't do them all the time.
No.
But I do when I find I have to make a ride to and from LA, and I have to go to LA, drive to LA this Thursday, and I'm like, darn it, I'm on my detox and I can't have a Red Bull. What am I gonna do?
What am I gonna do? Gotta get the job done.
So I'm just hopefully I'll be well rested the night, from the night before. But so, okay, back to I'll start the day off with bone broth, and then I'll move on to a green shake. That'll be my next meal.
Wait, what's in the green shake? You're leaving out the details.
Oh God, I put like coconut milk in it. Unsweetened coconut milk. A dash of this and that, like cinnamon and cayenne pepper. And, this is a recipe I got online. It's not my recipe. And then you also put in, I put in, like 2 handfuls of baby spinach. And you put a few other things in there, and you mix it up and you drink it. It's really healthy, but it's not the tastiest. Like today probably shouldn't have, but I put a little, oh God, I can't think of the name of the it's not honey, but it starts with agave syrup. Thank you. I could not think of agave. So I put a little bit of that in there because I had it yesterday. I was like, oh, this was not good. So I put agave in there, but I was like, okay, agave's kind of healthy.
There's so many weird ass health trends. Like, do you remember for a while everyone was trying to be more alkaline? And I have no idea.
I never got into that. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but
do you remember the green drinks people were drinking then? They would get these little packets and they put them in like a liter bottle of water, shake them up, and they're like, oh, you feel fantastic. It nourishes you. You don't need food. You just drink this green drink. And I tried it once because a friend of mine was like so into it. He's like, it's changed my life. I'm like, it tastes like lawnmower clippings. Yeah, it's not good. I drank one. I felt horrible. I was like, yeah, good luck with that. And I asked him about a year ago. I was like, you still drinking the lawnmower clippings? He's like, oh God, no, that didn't take.
It depends on what you put in it, but I'll do the green drink, and then probably my final meal of the day is like what you just saw me eating, the chicken and the kale.
Yeah, here's the
thing
about
kale. And I'll put some peppers.
Nobody actually likes kale.
I actually like kale. I like kale and spinach. Those are probably my favorite. And I like chard. Swiss chard and rainbow chard. Those are probably my favorite vegetables.
Yeah, spinach and chard are delicious.
Yeah.
Kale is what evil tastes like.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radioland. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
So yeah, I didn't eat for like 14 days.
What's that about?
12 days, 14 days. I'm not sure. It was really just, I wasn't trying to lose weight or anything at the time. This was a few years back, but everybody was doing it. It was called the Master Cleanse. You remember this?
Oh, I remember the Master Cleanse. Yeah.
It's like where you,
I have a friend who does it all the time, actually.
I think it was really big in Houston because Beyonce did it. Like,
no, my friend Casey, I actually get to see her when I go to New York. My friend Casey Duke, she's like a celebrity trainer. She's trained Denzel Washington and Lenny Kravitz and Maxwell and all my husbands.
All your husbands?
and
do you ever ask to go to work with her? Just be a fly on the wall as she makes Lenny Kravitz do crunches?
I haven't. But Casey's she's super. I think she may be 60 already, if not close to it. And she does not look anywhere close to it.
Right.
I mean, just gorgeous, and her figure's amazing. So she does that Master Cleanse all the time. She did it I heard about it way before Beyonce started doing it. So she's hardcore when it comes to that.
I can't remember the first time. I think the first time I heard about it was I think Tobey Maguire got too fat to play Spider-Man back in the day when he was Spider-Man, and so he had to fit into his underoos. So he did that thing where it's you walk around with a bottle that just has lemons, maple
cayenne
syrup,
pepper.
and cayenne pepper.
I remember
in it.
that,
and it was and
no way in hell I'll be able to do that.
So
no way in hell.
What's really interesting though is everyone I knew in Houston was doing it, and they're you got to try it. You're going to glow. You're going to feel great inside and out. You'll be like a new person. And this is the only time I've ever tried a detox. And I was I've never actually detoxed before, and everybody swears by this and everything. And I'm sure there's a very good chance that it had tremendous benefits for other people. But I got to tell you, I did not eat for somewhere between 10 and 12 days. And I did that sort of lemonade maple syrup thing, which actually, after the first time you choke one down, the cayenne pepper is a little bit of a shock, but it's actually kind of delicious after a while.
I put it in my shakes. It's a little shocking for me because I don't really like spicy that much. Yeah,
but I think and so the one thing that did amaze me though, the one thing that absolutely amazed me and was a big eye opener for me is you get to, you have breakfast, and then in the middle of the day, you're oh my gosh, if I don't eat something, I'm just going to, my stomach will cave inward on me. I will wither up and blow away in a stiff freeze. It'll be the end. I tell you the end. It's a horrifying nightmare. And you get past day 2 and day 3 without having consumed a morsel of food, and you're just going, and you're I think I had maybe 1 or 2 headaches in the first couple of days, and by the time it was supposed to be over, day 10 or day 12, I was just cruising. I was I don't feel like I have to eat. I'm gonna, because, this has to end sometime. And also, it wasn't I was oh man, I'm really getting to the nitty grit now. I feel renewed. I'm glowing. I'm all this sort of stuff. I did not feel any different, but it was amazing to me how much we didn't need food. And if you've got a lot of fat on your body, I could understand that there's some extreme fat loss cases where I think, where people are about to die. So they'll put you on almost no calories a day, and your body will start to eat its fat as sustenance. And hear me on this one. If you are trying to lose weight, do not do this stuff without the advice of the doctor. I don't know anything about what I'm talking about, but I will say this though, that master cleanse thing made no difference, but taught me we don't need anywhere near as much food as we think we do.
Yeah, no way I could ever. Yeah, no, I have to eat.
And that is Shelley Wade's final word on the subject. Could not do it. Thank you, Shelley. Shelley Wade makes her exit from the studio to, go babysit her own show. Imagine that. I wanted to address an email I got on the topic of health and fitness from Robert, who listens on 950 AM KPRC in Houston, Texas. You may or may not have listened to the shows when we talk about this sort of thing. You might have seen me on social media, but over the last year, I lost 50 pounds. And here's the thing. It wasn't necessarily, I wasn't trying to get all shreddy Kruger or anything like that. But it was very important for me to get back into the gym and start exercising. Only because, as you and I have discussed numerous times in the past, exercise for me is a vital component when it comes to dealing with anxiety, depression, all these things that, honestly, the vast majority of us will deal with at one point in our life or another. Now, look, here's the thing. As I've said before, when we've talked about exercise helping me make a dent in anxiety and depression and get it under control, this is not a substitute for medication. and you might need medication. Positive mental attitude and going for a run is great, but it might not necessarily work for everyone. And I don't want to downplay taking the advice of a doctor, getting a therapist, and, possibly, if necessary, take prescription medication. Here's the thing. My therapist said to me, well, you're depressed. I was like, oh, really? What tipped you off? And he was like, well, literally anyone could see it. You don't have to be a doctor to tell this. And I can do one of two things. I can either medicate you or you can agree to exercise. And I was like, I'll take the medication, please. That sounds great. And he was like, here's the thing. Medication could change your personality. How important is your personality? And I was like, he's like, I've heard your show. I think it would be bad if your personality changed. I was like, that does sort of help me pay the mortgage. And he was just like, well, what you got to do is go to the gym. Just try it for a little bit. You got to get to the point where you are sweating for like 20 minutes, 3 times a week. And I was like, really? Just exercise. And he was like, look, here's the thing. When you exercise, it releases a lot of the same chemicals in your body naturally that you take serotonin reuptake inhibitors to produce. I was like, well, why doesn't everybody just exercise? And he was like, well, when you're depressed, it's really hard to get off the couch. So that's a problem for a lot of people. But if you can do it, if you can crowbar your ass out of bed and get into the gym, or just go on a long sweaty walk or a run or do something that qualifies as exercise for 20 minutes, 3 times a week, let's try that before we go to the medication. And you know what? I'm forever grateful that he did that, because I noticed a change mentally overnight. The physical changes with exercise take a long time. You can't rush those. But the mental changes for me came almost instantaneously. So about a year ago, I got back into the gym to help me get a hold of depression, anxiety, things of that nature. I'd been sleep deprived. I'd been under an enormous amount of stress at work. There are all these factors that put me in a really, really bad spot. And I decided I was going to do something about it. And it's weird because I'd forgotten how to do something about it. It's amazing how you can have something work for you like a magic bullet, but when you're in the throes of something like this, you can forget. And that's really tough. That's a really difficult pill to swallow, because you know in the back of your mind what to do to get a handle on this, but you just can't bring yourself to do it. That's intrinsically a part of depression. But a big part of what I managed to do that made it easier was I built a studio at the house, which sounds fancy. It's not. It's basically a computer, a microphone, and a screaming fast internet connection. And the amount of work that I was doing, like a bunch of shows, I do like sort of 5 or 6 different shifts a day that air on about 25 or so different radio stations. And I was just stuck in a studio the whole time. Having a studio at the house allowed me to just walk my puppy, have some dinner, and then go to the gym, and then still keep the insane work hours. But I was able to go to the gym, and it made an incredible difference. And then I sort of started kind of getting diet and stuff under control. And now we're coming up on summertime. Spring is sprung. Summertime is right around the corner. Everybody's trying to look good in their swimsuits. And a lot of people have been hitting me up about what it was that I did. There's sort of like a before and after picture on my Instagram that I was really hesitant to post. But if it helped just one person, it made sense. It was embarrassing, though. It was really embarrassing just because I'd never gotten in that kind of shape before. Like, the idea that I had 50 pounds to lose was kind of mortifying to me. I'm not vain, but what that said about me as a person was not something I was a fan of. But I did it. And ever since then, a lot of people have been hitting me up asking me what I did. Some people just want to get in shape. Some people want to get a hold of their depression, their anxiety, and try sort of like a more lifestyle-oriented cure before they move to something like medication. And hashtag not a doctor. I don't know what I'm talking about this stuff, and everybody is different. And it's very important that you consult your doctor before you do anything like this. Like, if you're on medication, don't chuck it and go to the gym. That can have disastrous results. Talk to your doctor. But I would hazard a guess that getting some exercise in addition to whatever else it is you're doing, will always be a smart move. I don't think somebody said this to me once when I was just like, should I go to the gym? should I not? I don't know. I'm kind of tired. I just want to watch TV and, have dinner and go to sleep. And I can go to the gym tomorrow. And they're like, you should go. I was like, what makes you say that? And they're like, here's the thing. No one's ever regretted going to the gym. I was like, you know what? That's true. I've regretted not going. And I've been tired after going, but I've never once gone to the gym and said to myself, I wish I wouldn't have done that. That was a wrong thing to do. But I got this email from Robert who had a question about intermittent fasting. I mean, look, intermittent fasting is something that a lot of people are talking about. It's a big buzzword. I'll tell you my thoughts on this. Again, hashtag not a doctor, and why it may or may not work for you and what I believe it can and cannot do next.
Now, more AD on the radio.
So, like I said, over the last year or so, I got into reasonably good shape. And it really started with a desire to get a hold of my anxiety and depression. Going to the gym made a very, very big difference. My shrink gave me an ultimatum several years ago where he was like, either I'm going to medicate you or you can go to the gym. And I was like, I'll take the medication. That sounds easier. And he was like, try the gym first, because medication could change your personality. Personality is what you use on the radio. Radio pays your bills and your mortgage and my fees as a shrink. So why don't you try the exercise first? And I was like, okay. And I was so glad that I did, because, man, all the physical changes that come with exercise, they take time. They take patience. They don't happen overnight. But the mental changes really did happen to me almost overnight. Now, it's something that you got to work at. You got to keep doing it. You got to sustain this exercise. It's something that you have to keep feeding, I suppose, but it really made a tremendous difference for me. And I've talked about that a lot on the air over the last year or so. And now people are trying to get in shape, and some people are coming to me for advice when it comes to getting a hold of their fitness. Some people are coming to me for advice when it comes to getting a hold of their anxiety, their depression, all of the above. Here's the wonderful thing. Exercise is going to help with all of the above. And then once you achieve something, there's all these sort of little levels, little plateaus that you break through when you're exercising. You keep progressing and slowly, it like not only does it have the very real visceral effect of releasing some of those same chemicals that serotonin reuptake inhibitors like Prozac contain, but also you start to feel pretty good once you break through a goal, once you hit a personal record, once you have been in competition for yourself with yourself for a little while and you beat yourself. It's very powerful stuff. Now, with diet, here's the thing. A lot of people, including Robert, who listens on 950 AM KPRC, a lot of people have asked me about intermittent fasting, saying, do you practice intermittent fasting? And the answer is no, I do not. But here was my takeaway from it. There was a time, and this is one of the things that is so frustrating about health and fitness and all of the above. There was a time where people would tell you that if you weren't eating breakfast, you were committing suicide. You were going to be fat, miserable, and dead and overweight in no time fast, because breakfast really was the most important meal of the day. And if you didn't eat breakfast, your metabolism would slow to a crawl because you were just trying to hold on to every last piece of fat that you had in your body, because your body was going into starvation mode. And because you skipped breakfast, your body thought you were in the desert and was going to have to hold on to those love handles for as long as humanly possible, just for the sake of survival alone. That was the idea. And again, this is what is so frustrating about health and fitness. There's all this contradictory information out there. So if you Google, how do I stop being fat? You're going to get 18 million different answers. And here's the thing. There might be some truth to all of them. I think really what works for you, what is sustainable for you, what does not feel like torture for you, what you can do day in, day out, that is probably what's going to work out the best. And so my answer on intermittent fasting is no, I don't practice it, not seriously, but I do like the idea that by skipping, look, for those that don't know, intermittent fasting is essentially skipping breakfast, not eating anything, say, for 16 hours a day. Like you stop eating at 8 o'clock at night and you don't start eating again until noon the next day or something like that, or 1 the next day or whatever it is. And there's this idea that by intermittent fasting, your body, and this is where it gets frustrating because before, like, oh man, you skip breakfast. Well, your body's going to start to hold on to every piece of fat it possibly can. Oh no, you're going to be so fat and horribly miserable and alone for your whole life if you skip breakfast. And now the exact opposite is being touted left, right, and center. Oh, when you skip breakfast and you go 16 hours a day without eating, you are going to tap into those fat reserves because you don't have any sort of carbs and protein in your system. So your body's going to start to eat its fat and you're going to get lean and you're going to get lean faster. And then there is also all of this other hype around intermittent fasting. Like it cranks up the amount of human growth hormone in you. And they've done tests on mice. And I think they found that if you deprive mice of food for a certain amount of time, their growth hormone spikes significantly, maybe even up to like 1,000% or something like that. Hashtag not a doctor. Hashtag do not know what I'm talking about. Hashtag don't quote me. Hashtag go to your doctor. Don't take any of this as gospel. But the thing that I liked about intermittent fasting, to answer your question, is it freed me from the notion that I had to start the day with like a bowl of oatmeal and a boiled egg. I don't like eating breakfast, really. I'm more a cup of coffee kind of guy, or a cup of coffee and a piece of toast, or a cup of coffee and a piece of fruit kind of guy, or sometimes just nothing. And that's fine, according to the laws of intermittent fasting, and that's fine based on the way I feel. So the thing that I like about intermittent fasting is it's freed me from the notion that I must eat from the very moment I get up in the morning, because that's what's going to give me energy and stoke my metabolism. The thing about intermittent fasting and skipping breakfast is I think it's really just a way of restricting calories. Calories in, calories out. And look, what most intermittent fasting people do is they drink coffee. Coffee takes the edge off of your appetite. Coffee is kind of an appetite suppressant. So you don't eat anything for breakfast and you wind up saving 500 calories, 700 calories, however much you usually eat for breakfast in the morning. Which means you can have a bit of a bigger lunch or a bit of a bigger dinner or however you choose to structure it. It makes your caloric intake a little bit easier to deal with, and you can have a big satisfying meal at the end of the day. That's what a lot of people really seem to like about intermittent fasting. No, I don't practice it, but to me, I can't speak to this idea that it spikes growth hormone. I can't speak to the idea that it's going to give you all these sort of like incredible benefits that people trying to sell you intermittent fasting programs will tell you it can give you. And by the way, if someone's selling you a program that's, how to skip breakfast, buyer beware, in my humble opinion. Again, I don't really know what I'm talking about. I can only tell you what worked for me. But I did find that knowing that I could skip breakfast was kind of easier, because if I eat a bowl of oatmeal and an egg, I want to take a nap. I don't want to go do things. So I liked that. And then I realized, oh man, I didn't eat any breakfast. I can have a bigger lunch, or I can have a light lunch, and I can have a monstrous dinner. Oh man, I could, control my calories, and I could still have pizza because I skipped breakfast and I had a light lunch. It really is just sort of shifting around your caloric intake. So I hope that answers your question for you. Bottom line is, what I've found, a good rule of thumb is, if you are trying to maintain your weight, you want to eat about 15 calories per pound of body weight. If you are trying to lose weight, you want to eat about, again, not a doctor, and consult a doctor before you take any of this, but you want to eat somewhere in the realm of 10 to 12 or 13 calories per pound of body weight. And if you are going for gains, you want to eat a little bit more. If you're in the gym actively trying to put on size and muscle, you want to eat a little bit more than 15 calories per pound of body weight. Anyways, that's my answer to your question about intermittent fasting. Really, what worked for me was very simple. Calories in, calories out, end of story. And what did help me with all this stuff was being able to track it all on apps like MyFitnessPal. There's a bunch of them, but I think MyFitnessPal makes it the easiest. Anyways, that is that. I don't know how we got onto this long conversation about diet and nutrition today, but we did, and a lot of people seem to want to get into that right now because everyone's going, oh man, I gotta strut around by the pool in the not too distant future, so I'm going to do that. If you have any questions, please hit me up, ad@iheartmedia.com. Have yourself an awesome night.